Hello, everyone. My name is Ana Martha Ayala, and I'd like to welcome you to my YouTube channel. As a reminder, I do every video in English and Spanish, and the degree theory is based on modern Western astrology using the Placidus house system. In today's video, I am going to talk to you about Martin Luther King. Because I did a video on John F. K., somebody requested that I look into Martin Luther King. And so I did, and I found the most interesting things. I pulled up the information from astro.com because you can query and search for people on their database. But I don't agree with the birth time. I don't think that they have the accurate birth time for Dr. King. So I'm going to put it out here for all of the astrology students, and I want you to comment below to see which birth time do you think describes his chart more accurately based on the biography that I found, because obviously I don't know anybody from his family. I don't, I can't ask anybody for confirmation or not. So I'm going by what the biography states. So I want to share, and I'm going to discuss both the chart according to the birth time given, and then the one that I rectified, which is not my favorite thing to do because it takes a lot of time. But I was curious to see if I could, come up with a correct birth time, and I think I did. So let me share my screen. And um, this is the bio that I found from astro.com, where it shows that Dr. King was born on January 15th, 1929 at noon. Now, the Rodden rating is an A, so apparently it's pretty accurate, but the data source is from memory. So I put in, this is the chart, January 15th, 1929 at noon in Atlanta, Georgia. That's what it says, right? So that would make him a Capricorn sun with a Capricorn sun at 25 degrees, which is the degree of Aries. Okay. The Pisces moon at 19 degrees, the degree of Libra, and Taurus rising at the degree of Aries. Now, Capricorn is a leader. The degree of Aries is a leader. That's fine. I have no issues with that. Taurus rising does not correspond to a spiritual leader. I'm not saying that there are no priests or pastors that are Taurus rising, but it's typically not the profession that I would see with a Taurus rising. And according to the biography, uh, Dr. King was an American clergyman, an inspirational leader of civil rights movement, a symbol of struggle against Black segregation. So Taurus is all about banking, agriculture, restaurants. They're very slow to make decisions. They are very stubborn in nature. They like the good things in life, the luxuries, the money, the assets, and stuff like that. Now, with Dr. King, he said that, I mean, it says here that living in a family of Black Brahmins, he never experienced poverty. So I looked up what a Brahmin is, and I'm hoping that I am pronouncing it right. Um, it says that it is the traditional occupation of a Brahmin is that of priesthood at Hindu temples. So definitely it's a religious, you know, career. I don't see that from the 10th house. I don't see that from the 6th house. So, and I don't see any degrees that indicate Pisces, which is, sacrifice. Well, we'll get into the degrees a little bit later. But anyway, um, it says here that enrolling in Morehouse College in Atlanta, he vacillated between choosing a career as a doctor or a lawyer. I can't make this. Let me see if I can scroll down a little bit so you guys can. Yes, there we go. I can see the law part here in the sixth house. That's a check. Um, Medicine, I don't see it, but he could have at least the law part I can see. All right, so that's fine. Now, um, it says here he became a student body president and class valedictorian. He was ordained a minister in his father's church in 1947. Upon applying to Boston University for graduate work, his professors wrote, his work is of the highest grade, and he will probably become a big, strong leader among his people. That can be talking about the 10th house, right? Capricorn, at the degree of Aries. So that's fine. Over here, the degree of Aries can also make him a leader as far as Taurus-oriented things. All right, so um, now I'm gonna go through his chart based on the degree theory really quick and only certain parts, right? So, like I said, the Taurus ascendant is more involved with banking, with money, with agriculture, um, with food. Taurus rules all of that. The 13th degree is to be a leader. I give you that much. Oh, and one of the things that I found really interesting is said here that he had electrifying oratory skills, and Mercury is in Aquarius at the degree of Aquarius, which is ruled by Uranus, which rules electricity. So I found that really funny that these people put that there. So totally agree with that one, right? So he has Mars according to the birth chart on astro.com, in the second house with at the degree of Sagittarius. So he made a living teaching or in philosophy. Sagittarius also rules religion, right? Your philosophical, your beliefs in life, etc. And it's in Gemini. So he would have income from two sources. So yes, Mars, maybe he had a lot of ambition to make money. I don't think that's the case, but I really don't know because I can't ask anybody. He didn't come from poverty, so maybe this is applicable. Now, Pluto in the third house, and the third house is all about speaking, short trips, siblings, um, your car, your phone, stuff like that. So the third house with Pluto there, in at the degree of Leo, again to be a leader, speaking, but Pluto in the third house is good for research, for investigation. Um, if you have Pluto in the third house, or if you have a third house in Scorpio, then you use the F-bomb quite frequently. They're really, it's a foul language. I don't know the way he spoke, if he was very, if he had a sailor's mouth, let's put it that way. So, or he could be thinking also about death a lot. That's, some of the significations of Pluto in the third. Now, fifth house has Neptune there. So Neptune is secret love affairs, right? Because the fifth house is the house of children. It's also the house of love affairs. And it's interesting because here in his bio, I was like taken back but from the things he said, King's outstanding success in uniting his people for a common cause made a ripple effect in American society, rendered him suspect in the eyes of the FBI, who rigorously followed and taped him, especially in his extramarital affairs. I'm away from the home 25 to 27 days a month. Extramarital sex is a form of anxiety reduction, he said. So the Neptune in the fifth house checks. And he also has a daughter who was a doctor. She passed. But so this fits. The Neptune in the fifth house fits. Now, when again the 10th house, yes, to be a leader at the 25th degree, in the ninth house, which is all about religion, university, that works well. The issues that I start to have is that the eighth house, the way that you will die, does not describe the way he died. The eighth house is in Sag. It's open to Sag, and it's open and it's at the 12th degree, which is the degree of Pisces. So yeah, Pisces, you could be assassinated. I give him that. Sagittarius, it would have to happen at a university, in a foreign country, in a church, right? But Saturn in the eighth house means that you will have a long life. And I mean, depending on your age, he was murdered at the age of 39. That's not typically a long life. A long life to me is somebody in their late 70s, 80s, 90s, to me, that's a long life. Getting killed at 39 is not a long life, in my opinion. Where is the ruler of Sagittarius? It is Jupiter, and Jupiter is in the 12th house. So the 12th house does rule very far away countries, but it also rules hotels. So he was shot. According to this, all right, on the evening of April 3rd, 1968, King delivered his legendary speech to supporters at the Mason Street Temple. I have been in the mountaintop. I see the promised land. I may not get there with you, but mine eyes have seen the glory. So maybe he had some kind of premonition that something was happening, because the following evening, while standing on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, he was shot to death at 6:01 p.m. Eastern Time by allegedly lone assassin James Earl Ray. This does not describe him, yes, Jupiter is in the 12th house and it can be in a hotel. It is at the first degree, Aries, to be shot. Saturn at the degree of Aries, to be shot. The thing I don't get, it's not in a foreign country, it's not in a church, it's not at a university. So this is where I have issues with this chart. Now, I decided, like I said, to rectify the chart. And this is the chart that I come up with. And to me, he was born at 11:04, 30 seconds in Atlanta, Georgia. And I will explain to you why I think that this is the case. And like I said, all of you guys that are astrology students, I want your feedback, because there's no one I can ask. There's no one that I can, um, there's no correlation. This is when you rectify a chart with a client, you ask them a ton of questions, right? I can't do it. I have to be based on this write-up that they did, his biography. So again, Dr. King, an American clergyman and inspirational leader of the civil rights movement, a symbol of struggle against Black segregation. So to me, to be a leader would be Aries rising at the degree of Pisces, which is a clergyman, a pastor, a priest. This is how I see Dr. King. Now, he vacillated between being a doctor or a lawyer. So Libra is in the sixth house, so that works. He became a student body president and class valedictorian. Aries always wants to be first, wants to be a pioneer, wants to be number one, always. And I have some notes here, right? So, um, Pisces is always fighting for the underprivileged, for the poor people, for immigrants as well. Um, he was awarded the Kennedy Peace Prize and the Nobel Prize in 1964. And again, Mercury at 11 degrees in Aquarius in the 11th house because he was political. You know, he was doing this from a political standpoint. Now it says that again, his work would be of the highest grade, being number one. He would probably become a very strong leader among his people, which he did. So this is where it gets really interesting. When Rosa Parks refused to move to the back of the bus on December 1st of that same year, King began his sermon to the church full of agitated supporters of her cause. King formed the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, giving him a sound base from which to operate his vast congregation of everyday soldiers for civil rights. Aries is ruled by Mars to go to war, to wage war. So, soldiers, to be a soldier. His philosophy of passive resistance, Mars in opposition to Saturn, is the go, 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 but no, wait. Let's wait. So Saturn would be in the ninth house. His philosophy of life on how to get this accomplished without violence, passive aggressive or passive resistance, I should say. Now, uh, King's outstanding success in uniting his people for a common cause, again, the FBI was on his case, and the FBI followed him and taped him, especially in his extramarital affairs. He said, I'm away from home 25 to 27 days a month. Extramarital sex is a form of anxiety reduction, he said. Neptune in the fifth, secret love affairs, or maybe not so secret love affairs. Eighth house, Scorpio. It's all about sex. So, what what kind of took me back is that the wife knew about this stuff. And something like this that King said that it's basically some like stress relief for him having sex, that is so Aries. Aries is very blunt. It's like, hey, I'm honest. Yeah, I'm having sex with other women and my wife knows about it, No big deal. Let's move on. Right? That is so Aries that it is incredible. That is not Taurus by any stretch of the imagination. Taurus is ruled by Venus, all about love and beauty. And, so it's like Aries is like, I'm gonna do it my way and I don't care, what happens after that. So, uh, all right. So anyway, it says here that his wife Coretta sorted the tapes with the rest of the mail, listened to them, and immediately called her husband. So she was a very obedient wife. I don't know. I mean, everybody has their opinion. There are different times why any woman would put up with such behavior is, which any wife would put up with such behavior is beyond me, but hey, to each his own. Now, so the way I read this is that Mars, when a planet is within 3 degrees of the cusp of the next house, you could read it in both houses, right? So Mars can be read here in the second house, an ambition to make money using his philosophy or his religion, right? But it can also be read in the third house because this little line here is the cusp of the third house, which is at 22 degrees, the Capricorn degrees, right? So um, he could be a very assertive speaker to fight for a different philosophy, right? So in the third house, that's what he's speaking to. Fifth house, Neptune, yes, the secret love affairs. 10th house in Capricorn, at the degree of Gemini, to speak, to give presentations, I'm not sure if he wrote books or not, but that is also another thing that could have happened. And then, of course, to be the sun in the 10th house, to be a leader at the degree of Aries. And Mercury is in the house of politics, so electrifying orator skills. Now, the eighth house here, Scorpio, at 27 degrees, Scorpio, to be murdered. The degree of Gemini, Gemini rules balconies. So here, it says, the following evening, while standing on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, he was shot to death. Okay? So, where is Pluto, the ruler of Scorpio? It is in the fourth house. So, he would die in his home country, Cancer. Pluto at the 17th degree, that's the degree Leo to be a president. Pluto are things that are underhanded, murder, um, people who would actually go and kill somebody. So, my opinion, somebody in the presidency ordered his death. Now, where is the moon? The ruler of the fourth house, which is the house of endings. Eighth house describes the way you're going to die. Fourth house is actually death. All right. So where is the moon? The moon is in the 12th house. He was living, quote unquote, in a hotel. And the 12th house starts in Pisces. So it also indicates a hotel. At 11 degrees, he was probably up in a high floor, Aquarius, in a high floor at a hotel. Yeah, it could have been an island country. Oh, and by the way, it says I looked it up. There was a woman with him, a young girl, in the hotel. So this could also signify that there was a woman at the time of his passing, which is the case. It wasn't a wife. It says it was a young girl. Um, I read it somewhere because I kept researching and researching, right? To make sure that I had an accurate account of what happens. So to me, Martin Luther King, this is the correct birth time, 11:04 and 30 seconds, because he was a leader in the religious world who got people thinking a different philosophy, right? On how to treat other members the same way. Everybody wants to be treated fairly and decently and stuff like that. So, um, anyway, those are my thoughts on how Dr. King was murdered because it was a murder. and who did it. Now, like I said, for you astrology students, let me know your thoughts. Do you agree with the actual birth chart on astro.com, or do you agree with the rectification of his chart? Um, so anyway, this was like a mini astrology lesson, but I wanted to thank all of you for watching the video. Um, if you like the video and you think it's interesting and you learned something from it, please give it a thumbs up. Send it to another person who might be interested in learning astrology. And if you would like a natal chart reading with me, please send me an email to amaastrology@aol.com. And let's see what is uncovered in all of these papers, information, legal documents that President Trump is going to release. And let's hopefully we can confirm the rectified chart. Thank you for watching and have an amazing day. See you in the next video.